So I have said work methods and motion economy has got two parts. We have work methods and we have motion economy. Work methods is simply the methods of work, how we work. Then we have motion economy, and I have said motion means movement. So motion economy is like reducing movement. In other words, making sure you are not moving up and down all the time. Like for example, in our case, you know that in the kitchen usually have a practical for you're supposed to be there for a maximum of 6 hours mpaka utoke. Kutoka uingie mpaka utoke ama 5 hours. So it means if you do not reduce your movement, hizo 6 hours zitaisha kama hujamaliza. For example, tuseme uamue today I have a menu yenye iko na beef, iko na rice, iko na skuma, iko na fruit salad na coffee with milk. Lakini nitaenda kwa Martin nichukue beef, niende nipike beef. I go back to Martin nipatie rice, I go cook rice. I go back to Martin again nipatie skuma, niende nipike skuma. Then I remember now time is up na sina coffee. I go back again to Martin, Martin nipatie coffee. I go to the kitchen, rudi Martin nipatie maziwa. Now that is a lot of movement. So when we look at motion economy, try to look at how do we minimize this movement. For example, that is why you see us tunachukua all the ingredients kutoka store, we carry all of them to the kitchen. Why? To reduce the time. That is motion economy now. To reduce the movement of from the kitchen back to the store, back to the kitchen, back to the store. So with work methods and motion economy, we simply be looking at how do we make work easier in the kitchen, in how we work, or how are we going to be efficient, and also how do we minimize that a lot of movement so that we don't get extra tired at the end of the day. We do not get injuries because of training a lot, and also we work in a manner that is giving us some efficiency, and you're also able to complete our tasks. So I want you to write our first subtopic. Our first big subtopic is motion economy. I'll talk about work methods huko chini, but I want to begin with motion economy. So write that as our first subtopic, motion economy. And then under it we have principles of motion economy. Principles of motion economy. And why am I calling them principles? Principles are like rules. So when we say principles of motion economy, we are looking at what ways can we use, or which methods can we use to minimize excess movement from the kitchen back to the store, or even within the kitchen itself, from one corner to the other to the other. So write these about principles of motion economy. We're going to define what they are. So we write this is a set of rules. This is a set of rules and suggestions. This is a set of rules and suggestions. This is a set of rules and suggestions to improve the manual work. To improve the manual work in production. It is a set of rules and suggestions to improve the manual work in production and reduce fatigue. Fatigue is that excessive tiredness. And reduce fatigue and unnecessary movement. And reduce fatigue and unnecessary movement by the worker ama by the staff. Unnecessary movement by the worker or by the, unaweza andika worker ama staff. So the person who is working, for them to reduce that excessive moving up and down, they come up with rules. So those rules will help you to, for example, when in the kitchen, and those who I teach practical, when I say collect everything that you need now before we begin the practical, like do pre-prep, and as you do pre-prep, if I've given you the work of today you are making braised beef stew, make sure you have every single ingredient, hata kama ni salt, because I do not expect you got into the kitchen at 2 and then at 4 you are telling me there is no salt. Now, how are you knowing that there is no salt at 4 when you did pre-prep at 2? So during previous preparation, that is when you're supposed to make sure everything is there. So that is like a rule. Make sure during previous preparation you have every ingredient, and that will help you avoid a lot of back and forth to the store and back in different corners of the kitchen. Maybe you are looking for salt because everybody is using salt, or you are looking for cooking oil. Pour your cooking oil in your own jug, weka kwa meza yako kama unatumia, to avoid the tunapika chapati hatuna mafuta, sisi tuna fry fish wametumia mafuta yote. So to avoid that, come up with what rules. Now these rules are the ones we are calling principles of motion economy. Now we are going to write some examples. Now write another statement. Excessive movements in the kitchen can lead to work-related trauma. Trauma ni kama stress. Work-related trauma. And when we say work-related trauma, this is like excessive, like whatever we've called fatigue. So now write another subtopic. Now before you write subtopic, write this statement. Waste of motion. Waste ni kuharibu. So when you say waste of motion, tunamaanisha ile movement yenye isaidii, una move tu, but you are not productive. Like you are very busy in the kitchen, but after 2 hours there is nothing you've produced. Haujapika hata rice, haujapika hata sukuma, and you've been very busy, you've been moving up and down. That is waste of motion. So you've been moving, lakini umekuwa ukiharibu hiyo movement, umekuwa ukiharibu time na nguvu yako. So waste of motion is any motion. Waste of motion is any motion of staff or equipment. Waste of motion is any motion of staff or equipment that does not add value to the product. Any motion of man or equipment that does not add value to the product or service. It does not add value to the product or service. So we've already said that motion means movement. So when we say waste of movement, it's like you are moving but you are not doing anything. For example, kama ulipewa kazi ya kupika ugali, you are just moving up and down. Pengine uliwekelea maji inaendelea kuboil na hujaiweka unga. You are realizing hata unga haiko. You are going back to the store. So you've moved a lot mpaka umechoka. Gas inaendelea kuharibu. So at this particular time, there is waste of motion pale kwa gas inaisha. There is waste of motion kwako because you are moving up and down, you are already tired, but you have not produced anything. So kama ulikuwa kwa group fulani, kwa hiyo group umewaharibia time, and then if your ugali needs to be served again, that is the product you are supposed to produce. Ugali haujai produce. So it causes, it does not add value. In other words, it brings a loss. Write another statement down there. Wasteful motion is caused by the following. Wasteful motion is caused by the following. Wasteful motion is caused by the following. Number 1, poor workstation layout. Poor workstation layout. Layout is an arrangement. Topic 1, the production ilikuwa inaitwa kitchen organization. And kitchen organization is the arrangement of the kitchen when it comes to the work surfaces. Like where is the sink, where is the cooking area, where is the cold preparation area, hizo zote. So when we say poor workstation layout, we mean that your kitchen arrangement is wrong. Iko na a lot of backtracking. There is no clear line of doing things from receiving, storing, preparation, production, presentation, service, all those haziko in line. So when we have a poor workstation layout, hata ukitaka wewe kama mpishi to minimize motion, you cannot. Why? Because the way the kitchen is designed, it is designed in such a way that it is forcing you to keep coming and going back to the same station. So poor workstation layout, hyphen. This causes excessive walking, bending, and reaching. Kufikia vitu. Maybe vitu zimewekwa juu sana. So, excessive walking, bending, and reaching. Then another cause, number 2, poor method design. Poor method design. What is a design? A design is a way of doing something. Poor method design. When you're using the wrong method of doing something. Poor method design. Hyphen. For instance, transferring things from one hand to another. For instance, transferring things from one hand to another. Transferring things from one hand to another. When we say poor method design, we are simply, in other words, we are saying using the wrong method of work. Using the wrong method of work. In other words, you are not doing the right thing. You are doing things the opposite way. So that will make you, because you will now, at long as you'll have to do it the right way, it's like you are doing double tasks. The other cause, poor workplace organization. Poor workplace organization. Poor workplace organization. Poor workplace organization. So the place of work itself is poorly organized. So here it is not only the workstation. Sio tu ile station yako, it's the entire place. So the entire place where everybody, yes?
This point 3, poor workplace organization, is it not the same as the poor workstation layout?
Now that is what I'm explaining right now. So I am saying, when we talk of poor workstation layout, a station is your place. Kama unapika skuma, hiyo place ya skuma. Your skuma place. But when we are talking about workplace, we are talking now about the entire kitchen. Like the entire place, now where everybody else is working. And when you remember, when we talked about kitchen organization, again, I'm taking you back there. We talked about the kitchen layouts. We have the U shape, the L shape, the corridor, the one wall, hizo zote. So, kama tuko na poor workplace organization, it means your kitchen is not having the appropriate kitchen layout. Like, watu wanagongana, if I can use that word. So you do not have your own personal space to work on. The place itself is like mixed up. But when we go back to point number 1, yeah, poor workstation layout. Station ni hiyo place yako yenye unafanyia kazi. So let's say you are in the cold kitchen. You are supposed, let's say, no, let me not use the example of cold kitchen. Let's say you are making fish. You are making fish. But then when you look at where you are picking the fish from, like from the store to your own station now, the fish place, to where you are supposed to give out the fish to, you find that that particular workstation is disorganized. It is not in a clear line of I receive, I store, I issue, I prepare, I cook, I present, I serve. You as a person, as that particular chef for your station. But when you come to this other new point, workplace is the entire kitchen. Kila mtu anafanyia vitu kila mahali. Like I'm supposed to be cutting skuma here, somebody else also wants to cut nyama at the same place. Now that is workplace. So I hope that point is understood. Now, another reason, another cause, number 4, large batch sizes. Large batch sizes. Batch, what is batch? Batch ni kama, it's like you are doing work in large amounts. You are doing work in large amounts. Haufanyi kazi kidogo kidogo, you are doing a lot of work at the same time. So when we are talking of large batch sizes, in other words, we are trying to say you are overwhelmed. You have a lot of work to do until now there is no way you can just do it in a way that you will not get tired. By the time you are done with it, you will be extra tired and it will force you maybe to do a lot of walking, a lot of bending, a lot of backtracking and such kind of things. So large batch sizes hyphen having excessive work, having excessive work, which will force you to move a lot. Having excessive work, which will force you to move a lot. Now, that is all about what causes wasteful motion. Let's have another subtopic. Symptoms of the waste of motion. Symptoms of the waste of motion. Now, when we are saying symptoms, like how will we know that you have wasted time? Let's take, for example, the day when you will be doing your NEC exam. Remember, when you will be doing your NEC exam, you will do it alone. Hiyo siku hakutakuwa na kugawiwa kazi ati wewe unapika ugali, huyu anapika nyama, huyu anapika cabbage. No. You will be the person to produce the nyama, you will be the person to produce rice, the same person to produce cabbage, the same person to produce a cake, the same person to produce coffee and milk. So, in that particular scenario, how will we know that you have wasted time? To know that you've wasted time, 1, you will not finish the exam. Utaambiwa time imeisha, present chakula, isaviwe, sio ndio unakumbuka unakuanga na coffee na sina coffee. Ama unakumbuka hata keki yangu nilipeleka kwa oven nilisahau. So, those are some of the symptoms of waste of motion. Like you moved a lot, but you did not accomplish your goal. So for instance, haukumaliza mtihani. Another symptom ni you become extra tired. Umechoka ni kama umeshinda jikoni the whole day. It's only 6 hours. So let's read the symptoms. Number 1, lowering of work efficiency. Lowering of work efficiency. That is the first symptom. Lowering of work efficiency. Number 2. Now, when I say lowering of work efficiency, what do I mean? I mean, what is efficiency? Being efficient means being able to produce as expected. So, lowering work efficiency, example ni kama hiyo, you don't finish your tasks. Or if it is in the kitchen, you will burn some food. Some of your food is not well cooked. Some other food is already burned. Zingine ziliungua, zingine hazikuiva. That is what I mean. So, lowering of work efficiency. You've done the work, yes, but the product is not as was as expected. Another symptom, number 2, muscle and back strains. Muscle and back strains. Back strains. Tutakuwa na muscle strains, back strains. Why? Because maybe you overreached for things, you walked a lot, you ran a lot. So, muscle and back strains. And these can lead to sickness. And these can lead to sickness. So those are symptoms. Let's have a subtopic showing us examples of how we can waste motion. So examples of waste of motion. Examples of wastes of motion. Examples of wastes of motion. So when we say examples of waste of motion, we are trying to say that we are looking at a way of, or examples which make us waste time in the, whether it is in production or wherever other place. But in our case here, we are like basically talking about the kitchen. What will make us waste time in the kitchen? Just a moment, just a minute. Let me check something, then let me pause. Right, we can now continue. And I was talking about the examples of wastes of motion. So what are some examples of the things that you will do that will make you waste time or move a lot in the kitchen, or do things that you are not supposed to do, like reaching things which are far away from you, like bending a lot? So example number 1, heavy objects placed on low or high shelves. Heavy objects placed on low or high shelves. Now, when something is very heavy and it is placed on a low shelf, it means we'll have to bend and lift it, and it is heavy. Remember, you are not supposed to, we talked about accidents. You're not supposed to be bending a lot in the kitchen. You're not supposed to be lifting heavy things. Again, if it is heavy and it is placed on a very high shelf, again, you'll have to strain to reach it and be able to use. So heavy objects placed on low or high shelves. Number 2, another example. Searching for tools and equipment. Searching for tools and equipment. Kutafuta. You go into the kitchen knowing that you are supposed to cook chapati. Then you need your flour, you let it rest. Na sasa ile time when unataka kuroll, that is when you start looking for the rolling pin. Unatafuta haiko. You start looking for Martin. Martin ameenda sokoni, ameenda kwa supermarket. So now you'll have to sit and wait for Martin akuja akufungulie store akupatie rolling pin. Anakuja anakupatia. You roll your flour, you make the small balls. Now you want to cook. You go back to the cabinets. Hakuna griddle ile pan ya chapati. Again you go back, you start looking for Martin. Akuja afungue store akupatie pan. So that is an example of doing what? Searching for equipment. Another example, number 3, Walking across workspaces. Walking across workspaces. To use machines. Walking across workspaces. To use machines. That is another thing which makes you waste time. Walking across workspaces to use machines. I'll give you a very good example which happens a lot during exam. Now, wakati exam ya NEC inafanyika, what you will do? Usually have blender ikuangi moja, zinakuaga I think 2 ama 3. So our usual kitchen, hiyo inakuaga ni kitchen ya mtihani ya CFB. Then we usually have classes. Mara nyingi hizo classes huwa pia zinatumika kwanza nyinyi watu wa artisan. Like a class like 501 hiyo inakuaga ni kitchen. Class kama 512 inakuaga ni kitchen. So you find kuna blender yenye iko our normal kitchen. There is another blender yenye uko chini 512 na ingine iko huko 501. So what do people do? Wewe uko 512 mko na blender yenu. Then mnaacha mtu wa 501 anakuja anabeba na wako na yao. Anakuja anabeba hiyo blender. But the time that we want to use the blender, now you remember, oh, we gave somebody our blender and the person did not return. So what are you going to do? You blender haitakuja. You move from 512 unaenda 501 kuuliza mwenye ulipatia blender, anakwambia sijui nani alichukua. So now you are on the move, you are running up and down looking for the blender. So that is just an example of how you will work across work surfaces to use machines. Unataka blender, lazima ublend whatever you want to blend, lakini kwa sababu ilichukuliwa, you'll go looking for it all over. Now that is what that particular example means. Now write another statement down there. So we are done with the examples. Write a statement. The principles of motion economy are grouped into 4 categories. The principles of motion economy are grouped into 3 categories, namely, now remember tulisema our first subtopic yenye tumeanza nayo, principles of motion economy. Tumesema principles ni kama rules ama guidelines, zinakuguide ndio usi waste time, zinakuguide ndio usikuwe excessively tired. They are trying to help you, 1, manage time, 2, be effective, and also not get so fatigued. Na tunasema ziko na categories. So namely, number 1, use of the human body. That is number 1, use of the human body. Na ndio maana kama jikoni tunakuaga na rules. 1, you should not bend in the kitchen. We usually say maintain an upright posture. Usilalie meza, usikanyage juu ya meza, usikalie work surface. Those are some rules. For example, tukikuacha uketi, you will not work as faster as you would have done when standing. Tukikuacha ulalie meza, again, you will not be as fast. And sometimes you people think that ukilalia meza unapumzika. Unapumzika ndio, but you are now straining your back. Unachokesha mgongo. That's why at the end of the practical you will feel extra tired. So the first category is about the use of the human body. How are you supposed to behave in the workshop? When I say in the workshop, namaanisha in the practical room. Another category, number 2, arrangement of the workplace. Arrangement of the workplace. That is another category. How you are supposed to arrange your place of work in a way that you are going to manage your movements. Category number 3, design of tools and equipment. Design of tools and equipment. Zile equipment unatumia zinakaa aje? For example, unakata nyama, but you are using a fruit knife kukata hiyo nyama, you will take forever cutting it because you are using the wrong equipment. At the end of the day, you'll be very tired. And then category number 4, time conservation. Time conservation, lazima kukuwe na time limit, lazima kila task ikuwe imepewa timing. That's what we usually say, kama ni previous preparation uko na 1 hour, then uko na production, then pia uko na time limit ya presentation, and then time limit ya clearing from the kitchen, because you cannot give you the entire day to just do one task. So now, if we are to have an effective motion economy, we must consider those 4 categories. Now we are going to look at them individually. So write the first subtopic, number 1, use of the human body. Use of the human body. So hizo 4 categories zitakuwa sasa kama subtopics. And there are subtopics where we are going to be writing some examples of rules of what you should do or what you should not do. So use of the human body. So under it, write this. When possible, Roman 1, when possible, full colon, then Roman 1, the 2 hands should begin and complete their movement at the same time. When possible, full colon, Roman 1, the 2 hands, mikono yako mbili, should begin and complete their movement at the same time. At the same time. What are we trying to say here? Tumia mikono yako yote mbili. Use both of your hands. Number 2, Roman 2. The 2 hands should not be idle at the same time. The 2 hands should not be idle at the same time. So in other words, do not be idle in the kitchen. Uko jikoni na hakuna kitu umefanya. Uko kwa group ya watu wenye wanagawanya tasks and there is nothing that you are doing. You are just standing. Mikono yako umeweka kwa mfuko ya chef jacket ama ya apron. That is what we are saying. So the 2 hands should not be idle at the same time. Roman 3, motion of the arms. Vile mikono yako ina move. Motion of the arms. Motion of the arms should be symmetrical. Should be symmetrical. What is being symmetrical? At the same level. At the same level. Ama parallel, if I can use that. Parallel. So motions of the arms should be symmetrical and in opposite directions. Motion of the arms should be symmetrical and in opposite directions. Full stop. So vile mikono yako ina move, inafaa imove at the same time and in opposite direction. Kama mkono moja ina mbele, ingine inafaa kuwa inaenda nyuma, but at the same time. That is simultaneously. Now, Roman 3. Is it Roman 3 or Roman 4? Roman 4. Momentum should be employed. Momentum should be employed to help the worker. Momentum should be employed to help the worker, but should be reduced to a minimum. But should be reduced to a minimum whenever it has to be overcome. But should be reduced to a minimum whenever it has to be overcome by muscular efforts. but should be reduced to a minimum whenever it has to be overcome by a muscular effort. Now, what are we trying to say here? Momentum. What is momentum? Lazima kukuwe na movement, ndio. Momentum lazima ikuwe pale. You cannot say, I'm just standing at my work surface, cutting fruit salad, I'll be static. Sitatoka hapa ndio nisi waste time. No, utatoka. Why? If you are making fruit salad, you will peel your fruits. After peeling them, you will make a syrup. Hautatengenezea syrup kwa work surface. You'll have to go to the cooking area. You'll also have to go and drain the syrup to separate the solids from the liquids and cool it. Again, hizo fruits will need to be taken to the fridge. So momentum lazima itakuwa pale. You will have to move. But what we are saying, itakuwa minimum kwa sababu kuna mpangilio, so that you do not get excessively tired. That is now in the use of your body. How are you using your body in this particular case as a principle of motion economy? Now, another Roman 5. Work should be arranged. Work should be arranged so that eye movements, macho. Eye movements. Work should be arranged so that eye movements are confined to a comfortable area. Are confined to a comfortable area without the need, a comfortable area without the need for frequent changes of focus. Without the need for frequent changes of focus. So pia tunaangalia usichokeshe macho. So you are saying the eye movement should be your work should be arranged in such a way that the eye movement is confined. Like concentrate on one thing first, umalizane na, then concentrate on another one. That is all about our number 1, how to use your human body, how to make sure your body is not going to get fatigued. Number 2, arrangement of the workplace. I hope you are still following. So that is the other category of motion economy principle, arrangement of the workplace. That is number 2. So this one is majorly about how do you arrange your workplace in such a way that you are going to follow the principles of motion economy, or how should you arrange your work to minimize excessive movement in the kitchen. So under arrangement of workplace, write Roman 1, definite and fixed stations. Definite and fixed. Definite and fixed stations should be provided. Definite and fixed stations should be provided for all tools and materials. Definite and fixed stations should be provided for all tools and materials to permit habit formation. To permit habit formation. What is a habit? Habit ni mazoea. Now when we say a definite and fixed station should be provided for tools and equipment, what are we trying to say? If it is our kitchen, let me use the example of our kitchen. When you get into the kitchen, kila siku unajua sufuria huwa zinakuwa ile side. Vyombo zote zinakuwa ile side. Now, that is fixed. Unajua kila siku nikitaka sufuria penye nitachukua. Now, suppose every day you get into the kitchen, unapata zimehamishwa, zimepelekwa into a different place. That will waste time, because now every day you have to start figuring out, where do I get a sufuria, where do I get a cooking stick, where do I get vifuniko za sufuria, such kind of things. So when you are arranging the workplace, we are saying there are things kama ni equipment to do oven huwa iko pale, blender huwa iko ile side, vyombo huwa ziko hii side. Kama ni range zinakuaga hapa katikati. So that is what you are calling definite and fixed stations. Roman 2, tools, equipment, and ingredients. Tools, equipment, and ingredients should be prepositioned. Tools, equipment, and ingredients should be prepositioned to reduce searching. They should be prepositioned to reduce searching. What is to preposition? To preposition is to position something somewhere because you will need it. Na hii ndio maana huwa tunafanya previous preparation. When we are doing previous preparation, when tunaosha our vegetables, we are peeling the carrots, we are also blowing the meat, we do our eyes. Now, when we are doing those things, at that stage is when we start realizing, oh, tuko na fish na tumepewa lamb. So we return the lamb, tuchukue fish, ndio tunafaa kupika. Ama tumepewa kuku moja, tunafaa kukuwa na kuku tatu. So at that particular point, you will pick it, ndio we preposition, iweke penye inafaa kukua, penye utaichukua kama ingredient when you will be now actually producing. So that is what that particular point means. Roman 3, materials and ingredients. Materials and ingredients should be collected at one go. Materials and ingredients should be collected at one go and brought as close to the point of use. And brought as close to the point of use as possible. Materials and ingredients should be collected at one go and brought as close to the point of use as possible. So that is another principle of reducing motion when it comes to arranging the workspace. So we are saying, collect all your ingredients at once. Zibebe zote kwa store. Bring them close to the point of what? Point of use. Kama ni pale jikoni, zibebe zote, zipeleke jikoni. So that we can avoid realizing when I want to cook meat, naendea nyama peke yake. Kama nimekumbuka niko na rice, sasa naendea rice. To avoid that, you bring all of them at once to minimize that movement of coming and going back to the store. Next, Roman 4. Provision should be made for adequate lighting. Provision should be made for adequate lighting. Provision should be made for adequate lighting. And a working surface of a type and height. And a working surface of a type and height to permit good posture. Provision should be made for adequate lighting and a working surface of a type and height to permit good posture. Provision should be made for adequate lighting and a working surface of a type and height to permit good posture should be provided. Now those are like 2 points in one, so I'm going to discuss them separately. Ya kwanza nimesema mambo ya light. Provision should be made for adequate lighting. And why do you want adequate lighting? When we do not have lighting, we are not going to be able to see well. When you cannot see well, then you are bound to cause accidents in the kitchen. Unaweza jikata, unaweza angusha vitu, you can stumble on things and fall down. Again, the other part is about a working surface. Working surface ni kama zile meza watu tunatumia jikoni. So appropriate type and height. Isikue too high such that you are struggling to reach it, or too low such that now you have to bend to be able to chop your ingredients and prepare them. So that is about that particular point. Roman 5. Materials, equipment, and tools should be arranged to permit the best sequence of motions. Materials, equipment, and tools should be arranged to permit the best sequence of motions. That is, the workflow should allow for succession of activities. That is, the workflow should allow for succession of activities. Materials, equipment, and tools should be arranged to permit the best sequence of motions. That is, the workflow should allow for succession of activities. Now, in term 1, I taught about kitchen organization kwa topic 1, and that is where I taught about workflow. So we said workflow is that arrangement of activities, a flow of activities that should be happening or that should be done. And we also looked at how, or the importance of workflow. Why should we be having a workflow? So that is where I taught about workflow. But in case anyone does not know the importance of workflow, they do not have it in their notes about workflow, I can still go back to it once I'm done with today's topic. Now, let's go to number 3, category number 3, design of tools and equipment. Design of tools and equipment. This is our category number 3 under the principles of motion economy. So under that we have Roman 1. The hands should be relieved from holding. The hands should be relieved from holding the workpiece. When we say workpiece, we are meaning the piece of work. The workpiece, for example, kama ni fruits unakatakata, hizo fruits ndio workpiece. The hands should be relieved from holding the workpiece, where this can be done by a fixture. So in other words, if there is an equipment which can be used to hold instead of you holding using your hands, then you should be able to utilize that particular equipment. For example, you want to extract lemon juice kutoka kwa lemon, nataka kufinya ndimu. So instead of kutumia vidole kung'ang'ana kufinya ndimu, take a lemon squeezer and squeeze. That one will work faster, and it is also designed for that particular purpose. Iko hadi na part ya ku make sure seeds hazijaingia pale kwa lemon juice. So that is what the point means. Roman 2. Handles such as those of knives. Handles such as those of knives should be designed so as to permit handles such as those of knives should be designed so as to permit as much of the surface as much of the surface of the hand as possible, so as to permit as much of the surface of the hand as possible to come into contact with the handle. To come into contact with the handle. What are we trying to say? Equipment with handles, na tukapeana example ya kisu. Make sure the handle is big enough to allow your hand to sufficiently hold it when using. So isikuwe ka handle ni kadogo and you're supposed to hold in your hands and be able to work with it. So when making handles or when buying knives, you consider how is the handle. Is it giving you maximum room to hold it sufficiently? Our last category, number 4, time conservation. Time conservation, that is the last category in the principles of motion economy. And now this one is specifically about time. How do you conserve time? How do you make sure that if my practical is supposed to run for 6 hours, at exactly those 6 hours, I am done and I've completed every task? Roman 1. Machines should not run idle. Machines should not run idle. They should not run idle. E.g., let me example so that you are able to understand that. Machines should not run idle. E.g., it is not desirable. Jerry, where have you been? E.g., it is not desirable that a burner is on. It is not desirable that a burner is on, but no cooking is being done. That a burner is on, but no cooking is being done. And this is something which happens a lot in the kitchen. You are in a group that is making, let's say, pancake. Hata mjatengeneza unga ya pancake, lakini kwa sababu mnashikilia jiko isichukuliwe na watu wa nyama, mnawasha moto na mtu mmoja anasimama hapo, tunapika pancake. So the burner is on. The gas inaendelea kuisha. Nyama will take a lot of time na ijapikwa. But watu wa pancake wamefanya nini? Wameshikilia burner na wamewasha. Watu wengine wasitumie. So that is wastage of time. Roman 2. 2 or more jobs should be worked upon. 2 or more jobs should be worked upon at the same time. 2 or more jobs should be worked upon at the same time. Full stop. Now, for instance, when you'll be doing your exam, hautakuwa eti unapika nyama unasimama hapo mpaka ive ndio uanze kuchukua rice. No, you must do those things concurrently. Nyama ikiendelea kuiva hapa, rice inaendelea kuiva in the next burner, so that we do not waste time. Another one, the number of motions involved. Tulisema motion ni movement. The number of motions involved in completing a job should be minimized. The number of motions involved in completing a job should be minimized. So here we are trying to say minimize a lot of movement as much as possible. The last point, the last Roman, I think Roman 4. Even a temporary delay of work, even a temporary delay of work, either by staff or machine, even a temporary delay of work, either by staff or machine, should not be encouraged. Should not be encouraged. What are we trying to say? Do not delay work. Like if you are in a group and one of you is not working, just that person not being able to work, usiseme ati tuachane na yeye tutamaliza tu. No. Just by the virtue of that one person not doing their part is going to cause a delay to every other person, even to people in other groups, because if food is supposed to be served at a particular time, hamtasema yetu imeiva to serve, yao wakae nayo. No. All the waiters need food at the same time. So no delay should be accepted. So this brings me to the end of motion economy, which was our first part. Now we go on to our second part, which has this other topic, work methods. Work methods. I said work methods are methods of work. In other words, how do we work? So work methods is our other subtopic. Remember, our full topic is work methods and motion economy, and we are done with the part of motion economy. So now we want to get into the other part of work methods, and let's define this. Work methods are the physical actions Work methods are the physical actions employed to perform a task. Work methods are the physical actions employed to perform a task. They are also known as work practices. They are also known as work practices. So in other words, it is how we work. Now, there is something that I want you to define below work method known as ergonomics. Ergonomics, E-R-G-O. Let me type it here. E-R-G-O-N-O-M-I-C-S. Ergonomics. Ergonomics. E-R-G-O-N-O-M-I-C-S. We are going to define what that is. This is about the design of the workplace. So, write ergonomics hyphen. This is the study of the design of a workplace. This is the study of the design of a workplace and systems, design of a workplace and systems which take into consideration and systems which take into consideration human beings' physiological, human beings' physiological and psychological capabilities. Ergonomics. This is the study of the design of a workplace and systems which takes into consideration human beings' physiological and psychological capabilities. Physiological and psychological capabilities. Full stop. So when you're talking about ergonomics, we are looking at the design of the workplace and how it is going to affect the worker both physically and psychologically. Write another statement. The goal of ergonomics is to fit the task to the individual. And not the individual to the task. To fit the task to the individual and not the individual to the task. E.g. So here we are trying to say with the ergonomics, we look at the task and the person performing the task. So we are trying to fit the task to the person, but not the person to the task. We are looking at task and who can perform that task without like getting an injury or without straining too much. So e.g. a work method that employs awkward postures. A work method that employs awkward postures. When you say awkward posture, it's like you are bending too much or you are eating things which are too far away from you. That is an awkward posture. In other words, you are not comfortable. Work method that employs awkward postures to achieve the worker's goal. To achieve the worker's goal is more likely to cause an injury. Is more likely to cause an injury than one more likely to cause an injury than one that maintains a neutral posture. Than one that maintains a neutral posture throughout the task. Throughout the task. Full stop. So that is just an example of ergonomics, of how we are like advocating for comfort at work. Somebody being comfortable in whatever they are doing, not straining too much, both physically and psychologically. Write a subtopic. Ergonomics programs include Ergonomics programs include so when we say ergonomics programs, we are like trying to look at if we have to consider the worker both physically and psychologically, what then should we advise the employers, or what should we advise the planners or the organizers of the workplaces? So they include Roman 1, analysis of work methods, to ensure that safe practices are being used for job tasks. Analysis of work methods to ensure that safe practices are being used for job tasks. So like analyzing the work, analyzing the method of work. How are you supposed to be working? Kama ni kukata nyama, one, what are you using to chop the meat? Do you have a butcher knife? Then how low or how high is the table that you are supposed to be using? Are you bending? Are you reaching too far away, or is it of a comfortable height? Number 2, Roman 2. Training and work practice control. Training and work practice controls, not control. Training and work practice controls are implemented. Training and work practice controls are implemented to ensure that proper methods are used. Training and work practice controls are implemented to ensure that proper methods are used to reduce employee exposure to risks. To reduce employees' exposure to risks. So here we are trying to say, train your staff and control what they are doing to make sure they don't expose themselves to accidents or to risks. Roman 3. Shelves should be located at a lower level. Shelves should be located at a lower level to prevent overreaching. Shelves should be located at a lower level to prevent overreaching. So usikuwe na shelves zenye ziko too high such that you have to climb on something for you to pick whatever that is there. Roman 4. Large and heavy pots. Large and heavy pots should be lifted by 2 or more people. Large and heavy pots should be lifted by 2 or more people. So hufai kung'ang'ana kuinua sufuria nzito peke yako. You should be assisted. So those are the examples of economics programs. Now, on to our last subtopic for today, best work methods and practices. Best work methods and practices. Best work methods and practices. So here we are trying to look at, once everything is said and done, you've trained your staff, yes. But for us now to say they are using the best work methods, there are also things that the employer is supposed to do, or the leader of the kitchen is supposed to do to make their work easier, or to make sure that they know what they are supposed to do. So best work methods and practices. Number one, provide clear expectations. Provide clear expectations. E.g., visions, goals, roles, and values. Roles and values. Provide clear expectations, e.g., visions, goals, roles, and values. So do not just employ people, train them, and leave them in the kitchen. Give them your expectation. If I am the chef of the kitchen and I have the vegetable chef, the sous chef, and the other chefs in the kitchen, you give them their roles. What is your role in the kitchen? So that when they come to the kitchen, they are not stranded. They know exactly what to do. Number two, give people the opportunity to use their skills. Give people the opportunity to use their skills. Give people the opportunity to use their skills. That is, it's just like that. You're going to leave it like that. So when you say give people opportunity to use their skills, you are trying to say when you hire people for a particular role, give them time to carry out that role. For example, do not employ someone as the pastry chef akuwe kazi yake ni kubake, lakini every time they are trying to bake, wewe unaenda pale unamwambia no, usibake hivyo, bake abcd, fanya this and this and that. And it is not like they do not know how to bake, they know, but you are just not giving them the time to do what they are supposed to know, or to show you how skilled they are. So this one will end up frustrating them. So in other words, in this point we are saying avoid frustrating the staff. Number three, support your team. Support your team. What is to support? To give someone support is to make them feel to be part of you, even if you are their boss. So support your team, e.g., know about their personal life, know about their personal lives, comma, what motivates them, know about their personal lives, what motivates them, and offer assistance when they are overloaded. So here when you say support your team, you're saying take care of your workers. Do not overwhelm them with work. Do not overwork them. When they are sick, give them off days. When they are too tired, give them leaves so that they are able to work well. Number four, encourage people to contribute ideas. encourage people to contribute ideas and get involved in decisions. Encourage people to contribute ideas and get involved in decisions. Here we are trying to say, ask people for their opinions. Do not just implement things and force people to do things. Ask them what is their opinion. What do they think about what should be done? Number 5, encourage feedback and recognition. Encourage feedback and recognition. Encourage feedback and recognition. Here we are trying to say, make your staff comfortable to give you feedback about how they feel about the job. Then when we say recognition, we are saying, remember you already have your vision, your goal, the roles and values. When somebody does well, recognize them. That's why you see some companies having like the best employee of the year, the best performer, such things. Recognize them for the good work that they have done. Number 6, encourage learning and development. Encourage learning and development. Encourage learning and development. Here we are trying to say, encourage your workers to improve their skills, to learn new skills. So they continue learning, they continue advancing their knowledge on what they already know, and also other new things if they want to diversify. Lastly, number 7, create a great workplace. Create a great workplace from an employee's view. A great workplace from an employee's view. When we say from an employee's view, what do we mean? Remember, we have an employer and an employee. So when you are saying you are creating a great workplace, don't create a great workplace according to the employer. No. Create a great workplace according to the employee. And how will you be able to do that? It is when you've given them room to give you feedback about what they expect or what they would want you to do for them. So a great workplace from an employee's view, that is a place where employees, A, trust the people they work for. A place where employees, A, trust the people they work for. B, have pride in what they do. Wanajivunia, have pride in what they do. That is B. Have pride in what they do. And C, enjoy the work environment. Enjoy the work environment. And D, enjoy the people they work with. Enjoy the work environment. And D, enjoy the people they work with. So those are like the ABCD. Those are a great workplace according to an employee. When they can enjoy the environment, they can enjoy the people they work with, they can trust the people they work for, and they are proud in what they do. That is what constitutes a great workplace. So this brings me to the end of work methods. Now, do we have some people who do not have notes about the importance of having a workflow? Kuna mtu anaweza kuwa anahitaji hizo notes? Mwenye hana, you can type for me there. Kama kuna anyone mwenye anataka. The importance of a workflow. Okay. So write at a subtopic yenye kanaitwa workflow. Just write workflow as a subtopic. Write workflow as a subtopic. So we are going to define what workflow is. And then we are going to see the importance. So workflow is just a very small bit. Workflow is whereby food is processed. Workflow is whereby food is processed through the premises. Food is processed through the premises. The premises ni sasa hiyo the hoteli ama kitchen. Through the premises from the point of delivery. Na hapa tukisema point of delivery tunamaanisha delivery ya raw materials. Kama umeletewa sukari, umeletewa unga, umeletewa rice, umeletewa nyama, that is delivery. So from the point of delivery to the point of sale. Na hapa point of sale tunamaanisha wakati unauza kwa restaurant. So from raw materials to the finished product. From the point of delivery to the point of sale with minimum obstruction. With minimum obstruction. Minimum obstruction. Full stop. That is what we call workflow. Now, write the importance of workflow and benefits of workflow. Importance of workflow. Benefits, purpose, whatever you write. Number 1, minimum movement. Minimum movement. So kama uko na workflow, movement will be reduced. Roman 2, minimum backtracking. Minimum backtracking. To backtrack is to keep going back. For example, ukishinda kurudi store kuchukua vitu badala ya kuchukua vitu mara moja, that is backtracking. Roman 3, maximum use of space. Maximum use of space. Kama kuna workflow, then it makes sure that you use your space well. Maximum use of space. Roman 4, maximum use of equipment. It also makes sure that you use equipment well. Maximum use of equipment. Na ya mwisho, number 5, minimum expenditure of time and effort. Minimum expenditure of time and effort. Minimum expenditure of time and effort. So again, when you have a workflow, it means you're not going to use a lot of time and you're not going to use a lot of effort or energy. So that is all you needed to know about workflow. Okay, now do we have questions? I have not given you Cat 1 and Assignment 1. Nitawapatia leo. Or did I give you Assignment 1? Did I give you any assignment? I don't think whether I've given you any submission work. Okay. Okay, nitawatumia kwa WhatsApp, nitatuma mbili. I'll send assignment 1 and I will also send Cat 1. For assignment 1, nataka mnitumie. For assignment 1, you will send it on Saturday. Now, when is today? Today is Wednesday. Yeah, after this class, I'm going to give you assignment 1 na Cat 1. For assignment 1, I want you to submit on Friday. When assignment 1, nitatuma kwa email yangu. Let me write the email there. So assignment 1 yenye nitatuma leo, nitatuma zote assignment 1 na Cat 1, but assignment 1 nitumiwe Friday. So Friday, anytime Friday kutoka asubuhi mpaka midnight, nitumiwe assignment 1. Then Cat 1 nitumiwe. Cat 1 nitawaambia next class siku mtatuma, lakini muifanye so that next week nikikuja hapa niseme Cat 1 okay, Cat 1 mtatuma Thursday next week. So assignment 1 you are sending it on Friday, this Friday, tomorrow but 1. But for Cat 1 mtanitumia Thursday next week. So when I send those questions, make sure you do some thorough work, some good work, because right now we are like almost finishing the syllabus and we are going to have a thorough revision. So expect a lot of questions from me. I'll be giving you questions in advance. You research, write answers, then we come and give answers. So make sure any questions I give, you do them thoroughly. Now, the other thing that I wanted to look at, I wanted to say, let me look at your course outline so that I'm able to give you a clear direction on what I want to say. Now, next week, we are going to be looking at a topic known as occupational information. Occupational information. That is what we'll look at next week. Occupational information is not a big topic or a hard topic because it is simply about the job opportunities once you've done your course. Like, what kind of jobs will you expect to get, whether in the government sector, in the private sector, whether it is self-employment. That is what we'll be looking at next week. So until then, you can do assignment na cut yenye nitawatumia. Siwezi tuma saa hii, today I have classes, namalizana na hii class nianze ingine, but nitaituma kesho. Let me say that tomorrow asubuhi, usiseme haukuwa na time. Okay, let me give you until Saturday. In case tomorrow I oversleep, don't send it early.